What if I told you that the God in the Bible wasn't originally God at all? How would you react? According to ancient records, Yahweh might have actually been one of the Anunnaki, the powerful sky deities, worshipped in Mesopotamia. And even more shocking, Egyptian records suggest that people were worshiping Yahweh long before the Bible was even written. Hey everyone, I'm Mileston. The Bible says Yahweh told Moses, "I am who I am. Tell the Israelites this. I am has sent me to you." For centuries, scholars, theologians, and historians have been fascinated by the origins of Yahweh in the Bible. But behind this divine figure, could there be hidden stories we've never been told? Could Yahweh's roots stretch all the way back to Mesopotamian gods, especially the Anunnaki? Next, we'll dive into history, linguistics, and the shift from polytheism to monotheism. Are you curious about the mysteries of the gods and the possible influence of extraterrestrials on humanity? Let's find out. The Anunnaki held a central place in Mesopotamian mythology. They were believed to descend from the heavens, bringing knowledge and civilization to mankind. So, could the revered Yahweh of the Bible actually be connected to these ancient beings? Let's explore the possible links through historical and linguistic evidence. Yahweh is often described as a desert god, perhaps once just a minor deity of the Canaanite region. So, how did this figure transform into the central god worshipped by millions today? The god. Even the name Yahweh itself holds deep linguistic significance, hinting at its ancient origins and evolution. By studying this transformation, we can better understand how faith shifted from tribal worship to strict monotheism. The rise of Yahweh as the one true God marked a turning point in religious history. This shift is reflected in Judaism and Christianity's messianic traditions, and in Islam, Yahweh is understood as Allah, showing the deep connections between the three major world religions. These theological shifts shaped the identities and belief systems of entire communities. In ancient Israel, Yahweh became the defining God. The transition from tribal worship to monotheism was a key moment in the history of the great kingdoms. During this time, worship of Yahweh became central to Judah's identity. Prophets played a crucial role, guiding people back to faith in Yahweh and serving as moral leaders in turbulent times. But on the path to monotheism, what challenges did they face? And what victories did they achieve? Over time, people's understanding of Yahweh changed dramatically. The move from many gods to one wasn't just historical, it was a theological revolution, shaping ideas about divine nature and humanity's place in the universe itself. Deep questions indeed, but the ancient aliens theory makes it even more intriguing. This theory suggests that extraterrestrial beings may have influenced humanity's religions. Could the bond between these so-called gods and human civilization be closer than we thought? In the ancient Near East, cultures and religions collided, a melting pot, and in that mix, the Anunnaki shaped Mesopotamian mythology. They played a crucial role. These mysterious beings are often portrayed as otherworldly entities with extraordinary powers. Seen as the founders of civilization, they brought knowledge to humanity, along with technology and systems of thought. One central figure in the Bible, Yahweh. Could his origins be connected to these ancient beings? The idea that Yahweh and the Anunnaki might share a link is not without reason. Historical records suggest Yahweh may have originally been a local deity, worshipped by nomadic tribes. As these tribes began to settle, their belief systems slowly evolved, and Yahweh's significance grew. Linguistic studies of the name Yahweh have found connections with early Semitic languages, suggesting his origins are ancient and complex. The name Yahweh and his evolving role in religion is a fascinating story in itself. At first, Yahweh may have been seen as a storm god or a god of war, reflecting the harsh, unforgiving conditions of the ancient Near East. As communities settled down, their social structures grew more complex, and so did their religious beliefs. Yahweh transformed from a tribal god into the one and only God of Israel, marking the shift toward monotheism. This idea of one God was revolutionary in the ancient world. It broke away from the dominant, polytheistic traditions of the time. For the Israelites, this transformation was deeply tied to their identity and history. Yahweh was no longer just a god. He became the very symbol of their people and of their covenant with divine power itself. Prophets of ancient Israel played a vital role in this transformation. They were seen as Yahweh's messengers, guiding the people and reminding them of their covenant with him. They emphasized loyalty to Yahweh and the importance of following his laws. This devotion to monotheism laid the foundation for Judaism, Christianity, and later Islam. In Judaism, the concept of the Messiah is tightly linked to belief in Yahweh. The Messiah is seen as a future leader who would restore Israel and usher in an era of peace and justice. In Christianity, this idea took on new meaning, with Jesus Christ recognized as the Messiah, bringing salvation to all humanity. In Islam, Yahweh is understood as Allah, and there is also an expectation of a Messiah. The Kingdom of Judah, with Jerusalem as its capital, became the center of Yahweh worship. Here, King Solomon built the Great Temple, which became the heart of religious life. But the shift toward monotheism wasn't easy. Political turmoil, foreign invasions, and exile all tested the people's faith. Yet through all these struggles, worship of Yahweh remained at the core of their belief and was kept alive by the teachings of the prophets. The move from polytheism to monotheism also raised bigger theological questions. Why did ancient societies shift to the worship of a single God? And what does this change reveal about human nature and our understanding of the divine? These questions continue to fascinate both scholars and believers today. The ancient astronaut theory adds an intriguing new perspective. It suggests that extraterrestrials may have influenced human civilization and religion. Supporters argue that ancient texts describing gods might actually be accounts of encounters with advanced extraterrestrial life. Did Yahweh, like other ancient gods, also originate from extraterrestrial encounters? In many ancient myths and sacred texts, divine beings, and their connection with human civilization are a central theme. Whether you look at it through theology or through the speculative lens of the ancient astronaut theory, the stories of Yahweh and the Anunnaki invite us to explore the edges of history, myth, and belief. As we dive deeper into these mysteries, we'd love for you to join the conversation. What do you think about a possible link between Yahweh and the Anunnaki? How do you see Yahweh's transformation from a minor deity into the central figure of monotheism? Share your thoughts in the comments, and let's explore these fascinating questions together. Understanding the origins of Yahweh isn't just about tracing history or linguistics. It's also about uncovering how these beliefs shaped culture, identity, and spirituality. The story of Yahweh reflects humanity's endless quest to understand the divine and our place in the universe. Meanwhile, the Anunnaki, with their grand myths and mysterious origins, provide a rich backdrop for exploring these themes. In Mesopotamian mythology, the Anunnaki are often portrayed as beings of immense power, bringing order and civilization to the world. They were seen as mediators between heaven and earth, possessing knowledge and strength beyond human reach. In the Bible, Yahweh is depicted as an all-powerful being, leading the Israelites out of Egypt, giving them laws, and guiding them through the wilderness. This mirrors the role of the Anunnaki in Mesopotamian traditions. Such parallels make us wonder, was Yahweh's origin rooted in these ancient traditions? One fascinating clue is the mention of Yahweh among the Shasu people. In Egyptian texts, the Shasu were nomadic tribes, recorded by the Egyptians. Some scholars suggest these tribes may have worshipped a god named Yahweh. This indicates that the worship of Yahweh extended beyond Israel and may have been linked to the broader Semitic pantheon. The very name Yahweh also carries clues to its ancient origins. It derives from the Hebrew root *h-y-h*, meaning to be or to exist. This etymology reflects the idea of Yahweh as the eternal, self-existent God, while also connecting to similar titles in other Semitic languages, hinting at a shared cultural and religious heritage across civilizations. To understand Yahweh's evolution, we have to look at the broader context of ancient Near Eastern religion. The shift from polytheism to monotheism wasn't sudden, it was gradual, shaped by social, political, and theological influences. Establishing Yahweh as Israel's one true God was a defining milestone in this shift, and the role of the prophets in this process cannot be overstated. Figures like Isaiah, Jeremiah, and Ezekiel had a profound impact on Israel's religious identity. They called the people back to Yahweh, denounced the worship of other gods, and emphasized the covenant between God and His people. Their teachings weren't just spiritual. They also carried political weight, addressing justice, morality, and national identity were deeply intertwined. In Judaism, the idea of the Messiah was inseparably tied to faith in Yahweh. The hope for a Messiah reflected a longing for divine intervention and national restoration. In Christianity, this hope was believed to be fulfilled in Jesus Christ. who was seen as the embodiment of Yahweh's promise of redemption. And in Islam, though the theology differs, divine guidance remains central, along with its own version of messianic expectation. The ancient aliens theory adds a modern twist to how we interpret these old beliefs. It suggests that the miraculous stories in ancient texts might actually be accounts of encounters with beings from beyond Earth. Supporters argue that the advanced knowledge and technology called divine may not have originated on Earth at all. Could Yahweh and other ancient deities have been part of this larger cosmic story? The idea that extraterrestrials shaped human civilization challenges both traditional history and theology. It pushes us to rethink where myth ends and reality begins, and where divinity meets extraterrestrial life. Were the miracles described in ancient writings actually based on real human contact with alien beings? It's a controversial question, but one that opens up exciting new possibilities for exploration and speculation. Reflecting on all this, we see that the stories of Yahweh and the Anunnaki are rich and complex. They span across history, language, theology, and speculation. Each angle gives us a unique way to understand the divine and the human spirit from both traditional theology and speculative alien theories. This story continues to fascinate and inspire. It invites us to think deeper. So now, we invite you to join this journey of discovery. What do you think about the possible connection between Yahweh and the Anunnaki? How do you see Yahweh's evolution within the broader context of ancient Near Eastern religion? Share your thoughts and questions in the comments. Together, let's dive deeper into this fascinating exploration. The origins of Yahweh and his potential connection to the Anunnaki are not just matters of historical study. They're also profound journeys into the human spirit. The Anunnaki's mysterious role in Mesopotamian mythology and culture offers us powerful insight into how religious beliefs evolved. These beings, honored as bringers of wisdom and givers of civilization, may even hold clues to how Yahweh transformed from a regional deity into the central figure of a monotheistic faith. In Mesopotamian myths, the Anunnaki were often linked to creation and the order of the universe. They were believed to have descended from the heavens, bringing the gifts of knowledge and technology to mankind. These depictions of divine interaction, guiding and shaping human destiny, bear a striking resemblance to the stories of Yahweh in the Bible. The parallels between these myths encourage us to explore their possible connections and shared origins. Egyptian records of the Shasu people worshipping Yahweh are especially intriguing. They suggest that devotion to Yahweh extended beyond Israel and may have been shared among nomadic tribes. This broader context supports the idea that Yahweh's origins were deeply rooted in the ancient Near Eastern religious landscape. Linguistic analysis of the name Yahweh further strengthens this link. The name comes from a Hebrew root word meaning to be or to exist. This root highlights the concept of Yahweh as the eternal, self-existent one. At the same time, it also connects with similar names in other Semitic languages, suggesting links to a shared cultural and religious heritage across ancient civilizations. The journey of Yahweh, from a lesser deity to the central figure of monotheism, reflects sweeping social and political changes. as the Israelite tribes settled and formed a united kingdom. Their faith evolved toward the worship of one Almighty God. This transformation was marked by major theological shifts, shaped by prophetic teaching and the experiences of exile and return. The prophets of ancient Israel played a crucial role in this transformation. Their teachings stressed exclusive devotion to Yahweh, rejecting the worship of other gods, calling for social justice, moral integrity, and faithfulness to the covenant with Yahweh. Their influence shaped the religious identity of the Israelites, reinforcing the belief that Yahweh was the one true God. The concept of the Messiah in Judaism became a core part of this religious identity. The hope for a Messiah reflected a longing for divine intervention and national restoration. In Christianity, this hope was fulfilled in the person of Jesus Christ, who was seen as the one who carried out Yahweh's promise of salvation. And in Islam, Yahweh is understood as Allah, and the faith also embraces divine guidance and maintains hope in a coming Messiah. The ancient astronaut theory adds a fascinating twist to this discussion. It suggests that ancient gods, including Yahweh, may actually have been extraterrestrial beings who influenced human civilization. Supporters argue that the advanced knowledge and technologies attributed to these gods could be evidence of such encounters. Though controversial, this theory pushes us to rethink traditional narratives and explore new possibilities. The idea that extraterrestrials shaped religious beliefs challenges our understanding of both history and theology. It invites us to question the boundaries between myth and reality, and between the divine and the extraterrestrial. Were the gods described in ancient texts actually inspired by real encounters with alien life? This provocative question opens up new paths for exploration and speculation. As we keep digging into these themes, it's clear that the stories of Yahweh and the Anunnaki are rich and multidimensional. They span history, language, theology, and speculative thought. Each perspective gives us unique insights into the nature of divinity and the human spirit. Whether viewed through the lens of traditional theology or the more speculative lens of ancient astronaut theories, the story remains captivating and thought-provoking. We invite you to join this journey of exploration. What do you think about the possible connection between Yahweh and the Anunnaki? How do you interpret the evolution of Yahweh within the wider context of ancient Near Eastern religions? Share your thoughts and questions in the comments below. And together, let's dive deeper into this fascinating exploration. Understanding the origins of Yahweh is not just about tracing historical and linguistic roots, but also about exploring how these beliefs shaped culture, identity, and the human spirit. The story of Yahweh is a testament to humanity's endless search for the divine and our place in the cosmos. The Anunnaki, with their vast mythology and mysterious origins, offer a powerful backdrop for exploring these themes. In Mesopotamian myths, the Anunnaki are often portrayed as beings of immense power, bringing order and civilization to the world. People saw them as the ultimate power between heaven and earth, believing that they possess knowledge and power far beyond human reach. In the Bible, Yahweh is also portrayed as an all-powerful being. Yahweh led the Israelites out of Egypt, gave them the law, and guided them through the wilderness. This role closely mirrors the stories of the Anunnaki in Mesopotamian mythology. These parallels make us wonder, could the origins of Yahweh be rooted in these ancient traditions? One fascinating clue is the record of the Shasu, people of Yahweh. In Egyptian texts, the Shasu referred to nomadic tribes, mentioned in ancient Egyptian records. Some scholars believe these tribes may have worshipped a deity called Yahweh. This suggests that the worship of Yahweh may have extended beyond Israel, possibly linked to a wider Semitic belief system. The linguistic meaning of the name Yahweh also offers hints about its ancient origin. The name comes from the Hebrew root hwh, which means to exist or to be. This etymology reflects the idea of Yahweh as the eternal, self-existent God. It also connects to similar names and titles in other Semitic languages, suggesting a shared cultural and religious heritage across ancient civilizations. When exploring the evolution of Yahweh, we must consider the broader context of religion in the ancient Near East. The shift from polytheism to monotheism wasn't a sudden, isolated event, but a gradual process shaped by social, political, and theological factors. Establishing Yahweh as the one true God of Israel was a key turning point in this transformation. The prophets played a vital role in this process. Figures like Isaiah, Jeremiah, and Ezekiel had a profound influence on Israel's religious identity. They called the people to return to Yahweh, condemned the worship of other gods, and emphasized the covenant between Yahweh and his people. Their teachings carried not only spiritual weight, but also political significance, addressing justice, morality, and national identity. In Judaism, the idea of the Messiah is deeply tied to faith in Yahweh. The hope for a Messiah reflected a longing for divine intervention and the restoration of the nation. In Christianity, this hope was fulfilled through Jesus Christ, who is seen as the embodiment of Yahweh's promise of salvation. Meanwhile, in Islam, though the theology is different, the importance of divine guidance is still affirmed, along with the hope for the Messiah to come. The ancient astronaut theory adds a modern twist to interpreting these old beliefs. It suggests that the descriptions of gods in ancient texts might actually be accounts of human encounters with extraterrestrials. Supporters argue that the advanced knowledge and technology credited to the gods may not have originated on Earth at all. Could Yahweh and other ancient gods have been part of this cosmic narrative? Across countless myths and sacred texts, the connection between divine beings and human civilization is a central theme, whether viewed through the lens of theology or the speculative lens of the ancient astronaut theory. The stories of Yahweh and the Anunnaki invite us to explore the boundaries between history, mythology, and faith. And as we dive deeper into these mysteries, we also invite you to join the conversation. What do you think about the possible connection between Yahweh and the Anunnaki? How do you understand the transformation of Yahweh from a minor deity into the central figure of monotheism? The idea that the God of the Bible, Yahweh, may have originally been one of the Anunnaki gods is considered one of the most explosive theories in the study of ancient religion. When we look at Sumerian texts, Egyptian records, and the rise of monotheism, a shocking possibility begins to emerge. The God worshipped by billions today may once have been a powerful but little known sky god from Mesopotamia. If true, this discovery wouldn't just rewrite history. It would shake the foundations of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. In Sumerian legends, the Anunnaki, who descended from the sky, were revered as divine rulers, creators, and lawgivers. Shockingly, Yahweh shares many of the same traits. A storm and war god. Early depictions of Yahweh line with Canaanite storm gods, like Baal and Hadad. A lawgiver, just as the Anunnaki gave laws to the Sumerians, Yahweh gave divine laws to the Israelites. A sacred king, like the Anunnaki, Yahweh was portrayed as a supreme ruler, demanding absolute loyalty. An Egyptian inscription from the 14th century BC mentions the Shasu nomads worshipping a god called Yer or Yahweh. This suggests that, long before Moses, Yahweh was already known, not as the only God, but as one among many. His origins may trace back to Mesopotamian or Canaanite pantheons. The Bible itself hints at Yahweh's rise from a tribal god to the supreme deity over all others. At first, early Israelites practiced monotheism, the worship of one god, while acknowledging the existence of others. Yahweh was their national god, but not the only god. Monotheism only took root after the Babylonian exile in the 6th century BC. Jewish priests purged polytheistic elements, and Yahweh absorbed the traits of El, the Canaanite high god, along with Anunnaki-like authority, eventually becoming the one true God. Christianity reshaped Yahweh into the Father, while Islam merged Yahweh with the Arabian moon god Hubal to form the concept of Allah. If we follow Zecharia Sitchin's theories that the Anunnaki were real beings, then Yahweh's origins become even more explosive. Was Yahweh once a leader among the Anunnaki? Did early humans mistake advanced extraterrestrials for gods? Could modern religions have arisen from misunderstood encounters, biblical references to unexplainable technologies, and myths about genetic manipulation? If Yahweh was once an Anunnaki being, what does that mean for believers? It doesn't necessarily deny God's existence, but it could redefine what divine means. Could God be an advanced life form, rather than an all-powerful creator? Was monotheism once a political tool, with kings and priests claiming Yahweh as the only God to solidify their power, erasing older polytheistic traditions? Did Jesus and Muhammad know the truth? Or were they unknowingly passing down an ancient cosmic deception? We may never have a definitive answer, but the evidence is compelling. Yahweh's presence predates the Bible. As shown in Egyptian records, his rise mirrors the Sumerian god-kings, the Anunnaki. The Bible itself admits that polytheism existed early on. The biggest question remains: who or what is God? Whether Yahweh was a deified Anunnaki ruler, a cosmic consciousness, or a personification of nature, one thing is certain: the mystery endures. The gods we worship today have a history far more complicated than we realize.